it needs to get into the hands of people who are going to use it. Like, I think a lot of people just on the internet who see this type of stuff go, wow, it's really cool. Look at this crazy good illustration. We're talking, people who are publishing papers who have got a team. I've seen some papers where basically they've had the med students sit down with a box of crayons and draw a picture, and there's some really talented people there who you can work with and get an idea off the ground. That's absolutely doable.
People, there may be many reasons why many people don't use it, like you point out, but one of the reasons at least should be that people don't know that such sites exist. Even the literature.com, none of my friend circle, including Satish, knew. I knew just because I was following you on LinkedIn. So this part of the country, at least, we know BMed, a similar kind of platform, where people discuss cases, but this is new unless we specifically checked in on your profile.
And I don't know how to break out of that. Like I'm just the guy. Like, I'm not some massive marketing machine.
Yeah, we get it.
I've got a really good idea, and like, I'll put it on LinkedIn or I'll put it on Twitter, and then only those people will get exposed to it. Maybe one step further, but getting it to break out and get into circulation, I don't know how you do that, unless someone has you coincidentally run into someone who's outside of medicine, is in marketing or is in industry, and then uses that to push something else, or they see a value, and then it multiplies. Just from my lounge room, trying to get out into the world is it's difficult, and I don't know, not really sure how to do it. But again, I'm a full-time surgeon. I don't have all the time in the world to ponder these things. So it is what it is. If it gets used, it's great. If it doesn't get used, that's okay. I'll still sleep at night.
Next, about your new kit, the Operative Ink.
That's my baby. That's the current cool stuff. Operative Ink. How did I come onto that one? I think I was just remember. I think was it Nano Banana Pro or whatever the hell they call it. Middle of December dropped, and everyone started posting absurd photos on Twitter, and I went, "Ooh, what's this?" Because I've always played with OpenAI and ChatGPT models. I've never played with the Gemini models. And then, okay, hang on a minute. This looks interesting. This looks better. I've played with Midjourney before, looking at image manipulation and upscaling and stuff. Was never particularly impressed. Just okay, but didn't really have a use for that. But I jumped onto Gemini, and I just had a bit of a play and started playing with surgical images, because I've got surgical images on my phone and on my laptop, and they're the images that are there. And so I'm like, okay, I'll play with the surgical images. And lo and behold, it made some really, really good illustrations. They were initially a bit rough. Always the initial working in phase of these things is a bit interesting. You sort of see how unreliable and how random some of these generations are. But I had some time. I had time off over Christmas and New Year's, and as much as I love my family, I'm also happy to just leave the family argue at the Christmas dinner table and go and sit on the sofa and play on my laptop. So that's basically what I did. So I basically got really engaged in trying to figure out how to prompt Gemini better so it can reliably spit out one of these surgical illustrations. And I've seen other people kind of jump on and go, hey, why I don't need surgical ink or operative ink. I can just do it myself with Gemini. I'm like, man, if you knew how many hours I spent doing the prompt engineering, or for want of a better word, basically fine-tuning a very complex multi-stage prompt, which results in a reliable, consistent output, you'd be shocked. It's it's saddening almost to think how much time I wasted trying to get these outputs to reliably work. But the whole thing is basically it's a Gemini model,
Okay.
but it's running a huge prompt in the background. And we've also done sort of multimodal stuff. You can actually not only do initial generation, but I've got an opportunity there. You can bring in an image and then actually draw, and you can mark up on the image things that you would like to change. So not just randomly typing in stuff and praying that will achieve the effect that you want, but you can actually draw on the image and say, look, this particular structure is a nerve, for example, and I'd like this to be yellow. And I go, oh, okay, cool. And draws the nerve yellow. That was like a real wow. I've never seen anything like this before. Like surgical illustration is something that has such a price exclusivity that it's never been something that I've been able to play with. I tried, if you've been following me on Twitter or LinkedIn, you see that I've tried in the past to do intraoperative photos, and you can do your best to dry the field, clean it up, get the lighting just right, get a good camera, and then Sister Doris comes over with the camera and tries to take a photo. And it's not in focus, or something glared, or the light wasn't quite right, but she wasn't able to tell you that the light wasn't right, and you end up with these really bad. I mean, even the good ones are bad. Really, really good intraoperative photos are still basically bad. And if you weren't the one at the operating,
can you give us a demo of that, please?
Yeah, sure. Is that sharing? I think it looks like it's sharing.
Yeah.
All right. So, so this is my very fancy. This I made completely with AI Studio. By the way, I had to use my friend in Pakistan for the actual integration and getting the website online, and with the payment pathways and stuff, with Stripe integration, etc. But everything else was all run by AI Studio. So this is basically the site. It's basically these are the types of images that you can get out of the system. This is a direct translation from an intraoperative photo. You can see it's been sanitized, all the blood splatter has been taken away. You've clearly got the anatomical structures then clearly identified, and it's made it so much better. In fact, we've got a nice sort of example here. So this is just a slider to see. This is one of my tibial plateaus. That's a ruptured meniscus, looking through a submeniscal arthrotomy on the lateral aspect of the tibial plateau. And yeah, this is what I would call a good intraoperative photo already. Like this is something that I would say is probably one of my better photos. And still, when you convert that into an illustration, it just takes a lot of the noise and distraction away, and makes it easy to look at. But look, let's just do it. A paid service. This runs at 2K resolution. You can get it up to 4K resolution, which is pretty cool. So this is the initial response that you get back, and we can do a slider, and you can see basically what it does is
that's really fantastic.
Pretty close one-to-one. In terms of rendering. But then what we can do is we can say, look, we only do it in steps. It's like a small child. It can only do one thing at a time. So you give it single instructions and get it to do one thing at a time. So we'll just say, look, delete background, make plain white. Okay, and we can then refine this. And this will hopefully then, first of all, just get rid of this blue bit to the side. And we can then start progressively modifying this. So it is a little bit tiring staring at a spinning working wheel sometimes, but for what was once upon a time absolutely prohibitive, you've now got turned a photo into an illustration. Right. Pretty crazy. All right, come on, 10 more seconds.
Like, is there a limit on the tokens here?
No. There we go. So it deletes the background. So now you've got sort of this even more sterilized thing. Now we can grab this markup tool, and you can actually draw on here, and you go, look, this is a nerve. Okay. So colorize this. It doesn't know it's a nerve. You don't need to tell it that it's a nerve. Structure golden yellow. Now this is where it sometimes, and I spelled that correctly. Colorize. This is where it can sometimes go a little bit sideways. It doesn't always truly recognize the markup that you've put here. So it can sometimes take multiple attempts to get it to do what you want it to do, but that's okay because you can always go back a version. So we've got version buttons down here. We can go back to the original. We can modify the original from start, or we can use this as a basis for further modifications. So if this next step spits out something absolute junk, which is highly possible, we just go back a step and we try it again. But there we go. So it's overestimated how far the nerve has gone. In fact, the nerve is trapped under the plate. So what we can do here, we can just simply say, remove. If I can type correctly, this part. And you can step for step work along and then sequentially improve this. Now, I've got a friend who has been doing this for spinal surgery and has been taking endoscopic images, and the endoscopic images are good, but then he adds stuff, like he'll add bubbles into the operative field. He'll add context. He'll add actual instruments and stuff using this markup tool. I haven't actually ever gone that crazy and tried doing stuff. And see, now it's chopped it off too short. But basically, that all you do is you go back to here again, and you'd re-prompt it and say, look, this structure here, only this structure. Let's try it. Let's just try it. This is a nerve trapped under the plate. Make it yellow. And yeah, this is a little bit, particularly with this markup and trying to then modify individual elements. This is not super good. The initial transformation from the photo to the image that you get is super, and I think I've got that worked out pretty well. The sequential refinements, probably room for improvement. What I've done recently is I've processed multiple images multiple times, and you can pick some of the. Oh, there we go. Check it out. See?
Yeah,
it does work. Yeah. So
so look. It's again with the prompt, how you give the command, etc.
Yeah. So there's a huge prompt in the back end which is telling the system what to do. So I've got this green marker, and when I draw on this and then resubmit it, it flattens this image with this green. It sends the original image, the unmodified image, and the modified image with all of this green markup all over it, and then takes into context your textual, what you've written, your written requirements, and then tries to implement that and gives you its result. So it's the more complex things are, there's more scope for things to go sideways and not work. So in something like this, it's very, very complicated. Taking a very complicated picture and you're asking it to do a small finite change. That it even does it is incredible. And as you say, it took 3 goes, but hey, we got there, and now we have I guess that's the radial nerve under a humeral plate, or wherever it is. I'm guessing that's what it is. But yeah, I think that's fantastic. You take an intraoperative photo, which is probably a very good intraoperative photo, and you've turned it into a publishable high resolution graphic. So if we go, this is full size. That's high quality publishable stuff, I love it. I think I don't know how many people are going to find this useful. It needs to get into the hands of people who are writing articles. It needs to get into the hands of people who are producing teaching material. Let me just kill that. It needs to get into the hands of people who are going to use it. Like, I think a lot of people just on the internet who see this type of stuff go, wow, it's really cool. Look at this, crazy good illustration. But then probably not going to be the people actually wanting to produce these illustrations. We're talking, people who are publishing papers who have got a team. I've seen some papers where basically they've had the med student sit down with a box of crayons and draw a picture. And you can even use this. You can actually use this. You can put a sketch in and say, look, upscale this sketch to make it look like a surgical diagram, and it will do that. So having that capacity for people doing teaching, doing publishing, generating images that convey information in a visual form, because like I said, the photos, even good photos, are generally bad. If you're the person who took the photo, you know what's in it, and you can spend all day with a PowerPoint pointer pointing at it going, see, this is this thing, and this is the supraspinatus tendon, I promise you this is supraspinatus, and this is the rotator interval, and you can probably not really, there's a lot of blind faith involved in interpreting those photos. Improving the visual, or the quality of the visual educational instruments in the presentations or in the articles and stuff, I think is fantastic. It just needs to get into those people's hands. So if you're watching this, go and use it, go and try it. I've tried to keep it cheap. This is really expensive as opposed to the literature. Like the literature are like my gift to the world, but this is actually really expensive. Like I don't know how much money I just spent doing five images. It's not free, but I've tried to keep it reasonably priced. And I've also got low and middle income country coupons. So if anyone wants to just send me a direct message either through LinkedIn or Twitter or email or whatever, I do have coupons available for those people who do find that as a financial difficulty. But yeah, it's expensive. They're certainly not as expensive as actually contracting an actual illustrator to do a surgical illustration, which would be prohibitive for, I'd say, 90% of people.
That's what I was about to tell. So people like Henry Gray will be envying your work.
The thing is, and I have to admit, this only generates images of what's there. So this is taking the same thing of what I was saying before. If having this retrieval augmented generation, this is a photo augmented generation. You're not asking it to create a picture from nothing. You're not relying on its knowledge of anatomy to create a picture of a fractured hip or something. You're giving it information. Once you've given it a baseline, it's really, really good at extrapolating from that and generating something from it. But the limit of that is, naturally, you can't say, oh, look, now separate all of these layers and show me what this looks like, or give me an isolated picture of the fifth metatarsal with a stress fracture and whatever. Like, there is still role for illustrators to create all of these unique things. This is simply taking the stuff that is available for every person, the photos you take with your phone in theaters, and turning it into a more usable format.
Mm-hmm.
Have you kept this as a self-learning platform? Is there a learning loop within, so that within a period of time it will start generating surgical illustrations by itself?
No, because that's way too complicated. I mean, I guess I've never trained my own AI. I've never taken a custom GPT or a Gemini and tried to actually train one. I wouldn't actually know how that works. It's probably doable, but that's probably a rabbit hole I can't afford to go down in terms of time commitment and stuff. But the other thing, and that's probably worth touching on, this platform I've deliberately made, it is only in browser. It's only on the user side cache. and it doesn't save the images anywhere. So it's not like a person has a user account and all of these images are saved to their user account and sitting on a server somewhere in the US or anything like this. So it's completely anonymous, and at the end of a session, when you close the window, all of the information's deleted. And that was one of the things that was mentioned to me very early on from people who was like, hey, check this out. People were sending me messages going, yeah, it looks good, but what about privacy? What about, like, hey, I'm developing something and I don't want anyone else to know about it. What about HIPAA compliance and all this sort of stuff? So one of the things that have implemented now, and probably excludes what you were saying with, hey, can I train a model on it? Don't retain any data. We're not keeping any of this information. We're not logging it. And the jump to doing that would mean, I'm not even sure what that would mean. That's a huge hurdle over, privacy and compliance and stuff. And then people being aware that their data, their cases, their patients are being used for model training. And I don't think that's something I wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot stick at the timing. I think medicine and AI are not the best friends already. There's a lot of concern about privacy and compliance, and also, are we going to lose our jobs to AI? So I think there's duly a degree of skepticism, and I don't want to introduce more friction to a pathway where people will be reluctant to use it because they're worried about something. Let's not even make that a topic. Let's just avoid that altogether. Use it, get the results out of it, do what you want with the images, but we won't keep them, we won't manipulate them, and we're not going to take your IP.
I think that's the smartest move here.
Yeah.
And even when we tried the software for the first time, the one thing that was very appealing was this minimalistic interface that you had. Just put up an image and download it, and then go for the next image, rather than uploading a batch and trying to convert a number of images.
Yeah, it's keep it simple. If you like I said, complicated systems end up having problems. So I try and keep it simple, and that's what I did with the literature as well. If you notice, there's the landing page, there's a text box, you put your question in, you get an answer. I also don't like having to get into a system and navigate through 1,000 windows and then get to a complicated interface. Keep it simple. So yeah. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate you like it.
We thought of asking a few questions about your surgical practice as well, but you are like a magician. You're opening up new things from your head every now and then, and it's the discussion is very fruitful. So what's the next magic trick that you have in your sleeve? Can you give a sneak peek of what will be the next project that you're working on?
Honest, I don't do this like it's a planned thing. So we were talking about the literature before, and the 3D galaxy map of that concept network. That's a really cool idea, and I'd probably be interested in going down that avenue, but that's a little bit divorced from this simple interface of the literature. Ask a question, get an answer. The osteosynthesis website probably deserves a bit of my attention. It's kind of been ignored. It's kind of like the orphan child sitting in the corner and going, can I please have some attention? So if I need to have some inspiration for that. That was a little bit disappointing. I think it's a great idea, and hey, look, everyone, here's a great idea, and then you realize no one uses it, or everyone's very keen to read it, but no one's actually keen to contribute. How I can maybe change that, because like I said, there's tons of cases. People are not shy of uploading cases, and all of the information that in these cases and in the discussion, like every one of these cases has a learning point. Everything is, you've got the ability there to, if you harnessed all that and put it in one spot. But I can't legitimately just go and skim LinkedIn and steal all of the cases and save them and then upload them on my website. You have to ask each individual and say, hey, can I use this case? Can I get the that's incredibly fatiguing. I don't really have a lot of time or patience for doing that for every single case. But somehow getting awareness of that, or making a platform that is so user-friendly and easy to upload a case, and getting a case online is really brainless and pain-free. So we talk about friction, user interface friction. You want to remove as much friction as possible so that someone who's got a cool case just goes upload, done. How to achieve that, I don't know. And then the question is, what do you do with that? And then that would be something. And once they're uploaded, then you could actually maybe train an AI and go, hey, look, we've got a catalog of 10,000 cases with 5 images. That's 50,000 images. Train an AI, and you get to the point one day where you can then upload a preoperative X-ray and go, what should I do for this fracture? And it will generate suggestions. It will generate a post-operative image of an osteosynthetic fixation or something, based on the catalog of stuff that's there. That'd be pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work. And until someone pays me to do this and I don't have to have a normal job, then yeah, I don't know.
Some of these ideas are really worth more than $1 million, but you are keeping them, I know, altruistic and keeping them down. Actually,
if someone wanted to give me $1 million, I would take it. But there's a quantum of space between me and people with millions of dollars. So I don't know any. If anyone sees me and says, hey, this guy, he deserves financial support, we'll give him $1 million. I'm open. I'm all for being that guy at a conference who stands up and goes, and conflicts. Oh, I have a ton of conflicts. At the moment, I was like, no conflicts to declare. Next slide.
That's right. So we'll be directing, if anyone is ready to donate, then we'll just direct it to Oates.
Yep. Send me an email.
Okay.
I'm available. No, I'm not begging for money. I just think I think there's just some good ideas, and I'll try and do my best with them. And if people use them, honestly, at the end of the day, if people use them and I get feedback from people who say, hey, this is really cool, or I just happen to be flipping through a paper and see, hey, I know where that illustration came from. Cool. I don't need the accreditation, or the acknowledgement or anything in there, but just to see that it gets used. And so, like I was even saying, like I think when you sent me when you first contacted me on Twitter, and I'm like, oh yeah, Brew with Bones, yeah, sure. Hang on a minute, and checked out the January email. Hang on. I recognize that image. So that's enough. Honestly, that's enough. You've done something that someone else finds cool and uses. What more can you want? Like, honestly, that's the best feedback.
Yeah, that's really one of the great takeaways from this meeting. There are a lot of takeaways, like technology is no more a barrier for a person with a medical background. With the advent of AI, you just have to have a curious mind and look at options. Even before the advent of AI, you were trying with the Fiverr, etc., to get in contact with the engineers. So I think technology is no more a barrier, and we should step out and try new things. I think that's an important message, and to keep it altruistic and stay contented, and at the same time concentrate on your clinical practice. That's all a lot of message to youngsters like us who will be watching this video.
It is doable. It is absolutely doable. And if you've got an idea, either, like if you really don't want to touch it yourself and don't want to get into coding, literally jump on Fiverr, have a look through all of the options that are available there. It's all affordable. And there's some really talented people there who you can work with and get an idea off the ground. That's absolutely doable. But as I said, AI Studio is a leap forward in, if you consider it a sandbox, it might not be a publishable finished product, but it will make something functional. So you can just, what they say, this vibe coding thing, you just you give in a verbal slurry of concept, and it will start formatting and formulating that, and then will actually then generate a functioning website. And you can get from simple to complex. Whether or not that is then translatable and you can then actually create a proper independently functioning website out of the whole thing is another story. But in terms of just having an idea and spitballing, like this 3D galaxy idea, that was a random train of thought. I was doing something with the literature and then went, oh, wait a minute, what if we happen to go down this rabbit hole? And you just go exploring. You just randomly go exploring, and you'll be amazed the places this you can be taken. Take the idea, use the technology that's there, and just try it.
So on a closing note, I think we have taken much of your time, but on a closing note, we can even edit this out of the podcast if you want, but you should give a reviewer 2 view on Brew with Bones newsletter so that we can, improvise ourselves. Keep
reviewer 2, the most critic guy in the...
reviewer 2, yeah.
On Brew with Bones newsletter.
All right. Do you want me to do it? You don't want me to do it. Do you want me to do it?
Like, you are the reviewer too. So what are the critic comments you would give for our newsletter?
Yeah. If you want to improve ourselves.
I'm not going to pull apart Brew with Bones. No, that's not fair. No, it's great. I subscribed to Brew with Bones for what? Would have been 2020, 2021, something like that. I'm not sure how long you guys have been going.
Yeah, it's probably from 2021.
2021, yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been somewhere like way back then. No, it's one of those. I get a couple of newsletters. I've got one from like an MCrit guy. I was big on. Do you remember FOAM? This whole free open access medicine concept that was a bit pre-COVID and then sort of went into COVID, and I think it disappeared a little bit. And it fits in it. It's my orthopedic niche within a couple of these newsletters. I guess, like I said, critical medicine, emergency medicine, and then orthopedic surgery as well. No, I love it. I've had it for years. It's just one of those things that I get and read.
Thank you. So
we
are going to have this in the podcast. So
I've had it since 2019. Yeah, and no, it's funny. It's funny. When did it must have been on the back end of COVID. So yeah, it would have been right at the beginning. If you're saying from 2021, it would have been right from the beginning. But yeah.
So then, how was your trip to India? I guess you visited India once.
No, I've never been to India. In fact,
that was an online webinar, is it? I was seeing some picture of you on a webinar.
Must have been an online webinar.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't. I haven't been to India, but in fact, there's what's it called? I'm going to murder the name. Is it Gangajan Hospital? I met a chap from there in London last year. He was presenting on an open fracture classification that they've established there, and it's got really high predictive prognostic value in the early management of severe extremity trauma.
Yeah, it's Ganga.
Yeah, that's it. And they're saying they've got 100 surgeons on staff there or something, and they had a photo of the department standing in front of the hospital. It was like multiple football teams of surgeons. Anyway, I was chatting to this chap after the lectures, and basically it resolved at that time. I'm going to come and visit his hospital, and we'll do that one day. But yeah,
it's close to the place that we stay, so you should visit us as well when you come down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, I did my trauma fellowship there for 2 years.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is it as good as it looks?
Yeah. I mean, they are one of the highest volume centers in the whole of Asia.
Yeah. No,
particularly open injuries.
It was absolutely fascinating. Like it there's people when you go to a presentation, you go to a conference, and people talk, and you can tell where they're talking from. They've got their experience, and then they're drawing on a lot of information which they basically just pull up from the literature, and what they're presenting is half literature review, half personal experience. This guy, I wish I could remember his name.
He
but
must be Shivakumar, right? Shivakumar.
I can't remember. I'm kind of feeling really bad. I can't remember his name. I'd have to look it up. But you could tell this guy wasn't talking from any literature basis. They wrote the literature on it. They've established, they've got so many cases. They have such personal experience with managing the cases and establishing the classification system and writing and refining this classification system. You just realize it's one of these talks from a person who really knows what they're talking about, and it's not based on secondhand knowledge or stuff that they've read or an understanding from a working group or something like this. Is truly personal knowledge, and you think, wow, I want to see where this comes from. Like this is really something special. So it's on the list.
Okay.
Again, life always gets in the way of good plans, but one day.
Welcome to Coimbatore. It's in the city called Coimbatore in South India.
Yep. I'll have to look it up. We'll stay in touch after this, and one day I'll manage it. One day I have to.
You're most welcome here.
Yeah, fantastic. And if you ever come to northern Germany, it's like -1 degrees outside. I came in from a jog just before starting this, and it's so horrendously cold at the moment. But you're more than welcome to come. It's
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. No, fantastic. So thanks, guys.
So thank you, wonderful. Thank you for coming and spending your time and taking the pain of explaining and demonstrating all your wonderful developments.
Yeah, I hope it was what you would like. I hope it's useful and interesting. And yeah, if you ever have any questions or whatever, you know where to find me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you for your time.
No, perfect. All right. Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.